Michael and Report. Welcome our guest, Elizabeth Jones, Executive Council of the UKIP Party. Right, great. Haven't seen you for a while. You're a lawyer. The law is an ass when it comes to someone defending his home. Which side the police is on?
Well, that's all depends on the political climate of the day. If you remember, if we take a trip down memory lane, I'm sure you remember that Tony Martin, the farmer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. A man who's burgled about at least 10 times.
And then shot one of them.
Shot one of them. Unfortunately, one of them died. And he ended up being charged with murder. But that's during the Tony Blair Labour years when, of course, everyone sided with the criminal. So, but things have, to be fair, things have changed. There has been a shift now with the political focus.
But that's thanks to us journalists, the public opinion.
Yeah, and there's been a change in the law. During that time, with poor old Tony Martin, you were allowed to use reasonable force.
Yeah, but if it's in the dark and someone holding a knife you don't know, and you're an old man and they are young
Well, exactly.
people.
It's a subjective matter. But of course, the law then changed. And it's if it's a house invasion, which this was, someone enters your home, you're allowed to use disproportionate force now to protect yourself in your own home. So things have moved on, but the police are still clinging on to the old politically correct ways, as you know, with the problem of the flowers being tied to some poor person's fence.
Well, that's big controversial. Anyway, that is the return of Tony Blair. He is actually riding on the popular mood that is the Irish agreement, which he managed to con the Irish 20 years ago. But he's about to launch a new party.
Oh, well, good luck. Good luck with that.
But that's a party who's supposed to be to reverse Brexit.
Well, I think he's a bit late now. I think he missed that boat on the 23rd of June 2016. That boat has set sail and it's not going to happen. I can understand his dilemma. It's Tony Blair. I've heard also it's going to be Cleggy and David Miliband, all three of the old timers, desperate to cling on to a bit of glamour and a bit of fame and taxpayers' money. But I'm sure they're probably going to get some significant pensions paid for by the taxpayer. It's almost like last of the summer wine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Clegg, Compo and Foggy.
We must play to our viewers part of one summer wine. It's a good point to take an interval here, a break, and then our viewers can watch Glass of Summer Wine. I'll be back to you in a few minutes. Now, that last bit here. Can we get that last bit now, Majd, لو سمحت, please? The one, then I'm going to reread it in English and then go straight to Elizabeth, who will make the link, and then I can put the voice in Arabic. Part two. Godfather Part 2 is the best one. I mean, sort of editorially and music speaking. Part 2. I didn't discuss it with Saddam. Saddam discussed Godfather Part 1 with me back in 1972.
Did he like it?
He loved it. He spent an hour talking about 2 bottles of Johnny Walker Black Label whiskey.
What a life.
The national drink of Iraq, he said.
What a life. Right. But it isn't anymore.
It isn't, yeah. And I didn't smoke the cigar, but Ronnie Payne and the late John Pollock took the cigars. I tried to actually nick the cigar and sell it later, but I wish I kept it actually. Would have fetched Bob or two on eBay.
Was it touched by him?
It was.
Oh, a little bit of DNA.
And it was only one touch, unlike Clinton's cigar, which was touched by him, Yasser Arafat, and Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, same cigar, okay.
Not the same cigar, but I hope you're not recording that, for God's sake.
How's Diver?
Sorry, she was asking after my girlfriend. She's fine. That is very good news that her husband, Philip May, doesn't have to buy a new dress for the wedding. Back to our guest, Elizabeth Jones, if you're staying with us. Harry and Meghan have actually decided not to invite any politicians, so the old girl is not actually going to buy a new dress. But whom are they trying to avoid inviting?
Well, I'm sure they're trying to avoid a lot of conflict. They want it to be a very, very happy, harmonious occasion. And I know it sounds brutal, but it doesn't really matter who they invite, Because Harry's never going to be the King of England.
I know, well, not in our lifetime.
Well, no, I know. Look how many children Kate has given
He's
birth
preparing to have.
So he's going to be at the back of the queue, so they can invite who they want. They can
Back
invite
of the
anyone they
queue.
want.
Maybe they wanted to avoid actually seeing people like Hillary Clinton and Tony Blair and all this lot.
Well, I should imagine so. You wouldn't want to be presented with that pair in broad daylight.
And you're not going to be invited. You're not a politician, and you're a lawyer. I'm not going to be invited.
I'm not going to be invited.
No.
I'm not. But what I think, though, bearing in mind we, the taxpayer, are paying for it, it's about £32 million. It should be a lottery. You should all put your names in a hat, and if it comes out, then you go to the wedding.
To be fair, he's really inviting a lot of charities.
Oh no, we should do.
He's a good boy, although I'm not quite sure about Her Majesty's feel about him being an American. Never mind.
Oh, I'm sure they've gone through worse.
I'm not going to be sent to the tower for this. I might get a smart missile launched at me for saying that.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you will. You haven't been gassing anyone, have you?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
no,
you'll get away with it.
Anyway, speaking of law and order and attack, and what do you think of Amber Rudd, this latest thing, and the Mayor of London? The crime has been rising. Why now? Is it because the election is coming?
Obviously, it's because the election's coming. That's why Sadiq Khan suddenly geared up, isn't it? Because he's got the May elections. Of course, he's hoping to do very well in the May local elections.
I'm not voting for him.
Well, I won't be voting for him either.
Because actually, it's a crime rising in my area. Anyway, why isn't UKIP filing many candidates as you did 4 years ago?
Well, 4 years ago, it was before the referendum.
Right.
There was still that push and the momentum to push to get the referendum. Of course, Brexit was won. We've had to reconfigure and reconsider our policy base for the future. And also, UKIP's been through quite a few trials and tribulations. I'm sure you're aware we've had a number of changes of leadership. But we're getting back on track. And I have to say I was very pleased. I'm fielding 12 candidates in Lambeth.
Are you standing here anyway?
I'm standing in Lambeth and Fulham. So I'm very pleased with Lambeth. And I think that we will definitely bounce back.
Are you allowed to stand in two...
With council, yes.
With council,
yes.
you're allowed to stand in two councils. Well,
because you can live in one area, work in another, and own property in another.
You're not going to expose a property you own somewhere, as they did with the UKIP leader when he stood up in North London.
No, well, wouldn't matter really, because I cover the other areas. I work in Fulham, live in Clapham.
So you can present that.
Yes.
Well, let's tell viewers more about actual local election, because you as a resident,
yes,
you speak to people, the local businesses and so on.
Local charities, local
What
hospitals.
are the main concerns of the local voter?
Well, it usually, sorry to be crude, but it usually boils down to two issues: dog poo and bins.
Really? So it's just service?
Service, and that's
Street
what it
lights.
should be. That's exactly what it should be. It's usually the complaints are usually dog poo, bins, often noise, noise pollution issues with noisy neighbours. And of course, the big one now, which has been all over the press, as you know, is
the crime.
No. It's local council staff's pay.
Now
that's been hugely controversial.
Because, just explain to the viewers, we have something called council tax, which is the local authority take on our property, not on how much we earn.
Exactly,
or
very
not
unfair.
how much money we have, but how much the property worth. And then they do the cuts. They don't collect the rubbish and so on. So, sorry, go ahead.
So what happens is that they gather up all our council tax, which is a very unfair tax. You and I have to pay it. Plenty of people don't pay it.
I'm a pensioner.
Well, yeah, but you have to pay it in full. There's no rebate for you. And what happens then, we have council staff, like we have a chief executive officer, the treasurer, like head of
the
children's
usual
services.
Bureaucracy
Exactly.
that we are underpinning.
But they are spectacularly, eye-wateringly well paid for jobs which don't really
and then they cut the service like libraries and things. And
yes. So I think there's been, particularly in Lambeth where I am, there's been a big drop in staff. They've made loads and loads of people redundant. Frontline, ordinary people doing ordinary jobs. They've made those people redundant, and yet there's been a hike in the salary bill because they're employing more people who are earning £50,000 plus, who do God knows what, for whom, we don't know. Waste of money.
Thank you very much for explaining this to our viewers, because we have them there focusing on bigger issues like foreign policy. Anyway, Elizabeth Jones, thank you very, very much. Well, next time we'll visit you on your council office job.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all what we have. We'll see you next week. أعزائنا المشاهدين، هذا كل ما لدينا، نراكم الأسبوع القادم، إلى اللقاء.